Hello and welcome to the Cowboy Chronicles, the Oklahoman's Oklahoma State football podcast. I am your host, Scott Wright, joined by Jacob Unruh. You're back. We're back at Stone Cloud.
Yes.
All those things. So, very exciting week. Last week of the regular season. Not necessarily the last week of the season, because we could be back here in a week doing this all over again in advance of a Big 12 championship game. More on all of that later. Let's start with the most important thing. Jacob, what are you drinking?
It looks dark, doesn't it?
Very dark, yes.
Dark as night?
I would say so. Yeah, that qualifies.
This is a Stone Cloud night. That's a really bad joke. This is why I wasn't here over the weekend. I was on punishment for bad jokes.
Yeah.
No, I really just didn't want to go to Houston.
Right. No, I don't blame you.
Anywhere near the Astros. Night. It's cold outside. It's getting cold. It's rainy today. It's kind of miserable.
Yeah.
I didn't really want a stout because I don't do a ton of stouts, and their stouts are really strong, and I figure it's probably not good to try to drink a stout on the podcast and talk football.
Yeah.
Might be a little dangerous. So I went with the Night, which is a dark lager.
There you go.
And it's very, very good. It's one of their staples they bring back every year at some point.
Right. Yeah. I stayed pretty basic. Went with one of my old standbys, one of my favorites. It's Thanksgiving week. What am I thankful for? I'm thankful for Neon Sunshine.
There you go.
So that's what I went with this week. And of course, our fans that are following along on YouTube can join in, jump in the comments, possibly win a beer that we will drink for them next week if they can predict the closest score to OSU BYU. This week we are drinking on behalf of Chief, who was off by 29 points. I forgot to type that into my notes here.
29 points?
29 points total. I believe 27 maybe.
Oh,
20,
total.
27.
I was thinking,
total,
whoa.
Yeah, 27 total. Obviously, weird numbers for the Cowboys and Cougars over the weekend. Jacob, you and I obviously didn't get to talk about things post-game because you weren't in Houston. Justin Martinez was with me, joined me on the post-game podcast that people can go check out if they would like to hear our thoughts on that. But just want to get your thoughts. Listen, we're limited on how much time we have to discuss all of this stuff on this show. So trying to make sense of that whole game would be really difficult. But just your
I've got 100% battery in the iPad.
Okay, all right. Well,
I charged it. It's 100%. No, I'm just kidding. we're not going to go that long. It was a strange game. As Mike said today, he looked up in the second quarter and expected it to start raining, like it was UCF all over again. And I thought it was similar to that. It just felt like it was starting to get away from OSU. Then they get, was Houston had the penalty, right, that extended the drive.
Right.
They go and score, then they get the interception, really start flipping things around, and you start to feel like, okay, they're going to win this game.
Yeah.
Like Houston's not going to stop them now. Ollie started going. But it still had this bizarre feel, like even when they got up 14 or 13 late, Houston scored again. And you're like, oh crap, here we go again. But then they scored, and made it a 13-point game again. It just was kind of a bizarre day. From afar, it just looked like kind of a typical game to describe OSU's season this year. Just a little bizarre.
It was like we watched the entire season play out in one game. It was like kind of got started, and it was like, and then it got really bad, and it was like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, everything was great, and they were running the ball and throwing the ball all over the place, playing good defense, and then they had that one little moment where they gave up a touchdown drive that was kind of the UCF moment, and then they went and finished it off. So that puts them now in position where most likely a win gets them into the Big 12 championship game. If you're into scoreboard watching, be a Texas fan on Friday.
Yes.
Texas wins, then Oklahoma State just has to win, and they're in. If that doesn't happen, I don't know what happens. It's chaos at that point. There's so many different odd possibilities through the Big 12 tiebreaker scenarios that are still not clear, even though they issued one clarification last week. They're going to have another one if some of these tiebreakers come out.
I'm just going to say that Big 12 has no idea itself.
No, I don't think they do.
Like, I think they just threw their hands up on the one they sent out last night and said, on that last one, and said, if there's a bunch of teams tied, we have no idea.
Right, yeah.
We have no idea. We're going to, but I also think part of that, too, is the mix and variation of teams that could be tied in a four-way tie or more, I think is so convoluted and so crazy right now for even the Big 12 to say we're not going to put these out there because we don't know, like, that's too much.
Right.
We don't have a novel to be able to print here on a PDF for you guys to understand this.
Yeah.
So.
Because it's not only is it those ties, then you got ties for the possible tiebreakers below that. The whole thing is chaos.
Yeah.
The most important thing for the Big 12 right now going forward, get that thing figured out before next season.
Yes.
Because once you add some teams, you're going to have more chances for this. You're going to have more parity, I think, in the league next year, even more so than they do now.
Yeah. Every conference has to figure this out.
Oh,
at this
absolutely.
point, except the Pac-12, which is now a 2-team conference.
Exactly.
But that's head-to-head. That's pretty simple.
Whoever
Wins,
best of
wins the
11
conference.
series.
But every conference has to figure this out now. The ACC, the Big Ten, the SEC, they're all going to be so much different now. They've all got to figure out these rules in a clear and concise way.
Exactly. And everybody's simple answer is, just go back to divisions. There's a reason they're getting away from divisions to begin with.
Yeah.
That's because they want the two best teams playing in the title game, regardless of what division you're in. So they're not. Nobody's going back to divisions.
Yeah.
Even though that would
because you've run into scenarios before in the past. You could say this. I mean, the Big 12, the same division, Texas, OU, and OSU.
Right.
All of a sudden, those are your three best teams, possibly.
Yeah.
Or your two best teams out of those three.
Right.
This year it would have been Kansas State would have been the clear north favorite, probably, right? Mm-hmm. And then it would have been OSU, OU, and Texas battling out that last spot.
Yeah.
Whereas OSU's beat Kansas State, beat OU, and so it's just it's a mess. Or in the Big Ten, you got Ohio State and Michigan in the same division. And they're clearly the two best Big Ten teams.
Right. Yeah. So, like I said, nobody's going back to divisions. So get used to these crazy tiebreakers is kind of what I'm saying here. So. That said, I think getting Ollie Gordon going again was hugely important because 9 carries for 38 yards in the first half, obviously coming off 12 for 25 at Orlando, felt like the wheels had maybe come off the run game a little bit. Once they figured that out, that was I think more important than even winning the game. Just figuring that out again and getting that going again. Was critical for this offense because they need that so much. And then, how about Brennan Presley?
Oh my goodness! Listen, Brennan has been a favorite of ours for a while.
Oh yeah,
because he's just a blast to talk to and be around, and he does make a lot of great plays. And but to watch him the other day, it was like he was, I think of the movie For Love of the Game, when you clear the matrix and you're in that zone and you're throwing a perfect game.
Right.
That's where Brennan was the other day, it felt like. Like he cleared the matrix and he was just untouchable.
Yeah. I mean, the hits he was taking and hanging on to the ball or juggling the ball and catching it as he's falling to the ground.
Yeah.
Everything he was doing was working.
The breakaway speed, the ability to avoid tackles, it's gotten so much better through the years.
Yeah.
It's blown my mind, honestly, to see it because he's a guy that I knew was going to be good, but I didn't know he was going to do this.
Yeah, and top 10 in receptions and in receiving yards. Also, some of his return stuff ranks in the top 10 in career all-time history at Oklahoma State. So, really incredible career, and that actually kind of brings me to one point I want to make sure we did talk about for this week. Looking ahead to BYU, it is Senior Day. Yeah. Which is a very odd day these days because of COVID, the COVID seasons that everybody still has. So Oklahoma State has just gone to the theory that we're just going to honor everybody and then sort it out later.
Yeah.
So 28 guys.
I think it's pretty much what everyone's doing at this point.
Yeah, exactly. 28 guys that are quote unquote seniors. 11 of them are super seniors, but even that. Among that group, you still got Justin Wright, who has already said he's going to apply for a medical hardship. Alan Bowman, who could apply for a medical hardship. Not in that group is Leon Johnson III, who is finished.
But I think he has an appeal.
I think he could try to fight with the NCAA if he wants to, and try to get a year back because of the uniqueness of his career at the Division III level. So,
because I don't know if we got into this with anybody on the podcast, but he explained it like. He didn't play that year at George Fox, right?
Yes.
He didn't play there because they moved the D3 season to spring because of the pandemic. He played baseball instead.
Right.
So to me, I don't understand how you lose that eligibility when you play a different sport.
Right. At the same time.
At the same time. Yeah. It's not like he just decided, then I'm going to play baseball. It was the same time. He chose one. He chose baseball.
Yes.
And so I don't know.
Football only played 2 games that year.
Yeah, and it wasn't like it was 12 games.
Yeah.
It was 2 games.
Yeah.
So I think he has a legitimate case to the NCAA saying, hey,
Right.
this was definitely out of my hands here, and I wasn't, I chose baseball for these reasons instead of football, just played 2 games.
Yeah, it's very odd to think if he had played 2 games in the spring of 2020, he would be eligible for another year.
Yeah.
It's a very weird thing. But as all the good folks at James Madison are learning, NCAA not necessarily thinking about the student athlete all the time.
OSU knows that well.
Oh, they do.
Unfortunately.
They do. That's exactly right. Lots of people on that campus that are well versed in.
And you don't have to look to James Madison. Just look in your own backyard.
Yes.
There's a lot of people well versed in the NCAA.
Exactly. All right. My Gundy was, I thought, in a fun mood today. He was chatty, told some stories, some other stuff. Anything that really jumped out about you or to you about what he had to say today?
Well, we mentioned the tiebreaker stuff.
Right.
He doesn't give a flying flip about the tiebreakers.
No.
He doesn't want to hear about it. He doesn't want to know. He just knows if they go win, then that's the best outcome for them is to go win and see what happens, I guess.
Yeah.
And shut that down pretty quick. And so I think that was big and important. Talked a lot about Brennan Presley. Talked a lot about Nick Martin for obvious reasons.
Yes.
But I also think too that his update about Ollie's still got to practice. Even though Ollie's hurt, Ollie's got to practice. He's got to be physical. He's got to practice hard. But that was fascinating because I think that's a Spencer Sanders byproduct a little bit from last year.
Sounded like it a little bit.
But it also sounds like just a byproduct of running backs. They got to be hit. They got to keep going.
Right.
They got to have that adrenaline, I think, throughout the week. And so I think that's what he's looking at there.
Yeah, exactly. Because in talking about different things, he did mention, they basically played a month last season with Spencer Sanders not practicing at all. With Ollie, he addressed the need for feeling contact throughout the week, so that you don't get to Saturday and suddenly you haven't been hit since last Saturday.
Yeah.
And it becomes an issue. The physicality, ball control, ball security, all of those things. So on the surface, it all makes sense. I still think they're doing some stuff to protect Ollie, though.
Yeah.
Because clearly this guy is taking a beating, not fully healthy, and they need him running at his best. Yeah. So I would love to be able to just sit and watch practice. Obviously, we don't get to do that. So we'll see kind of how things go. But it's a tricky tightrope that Gundy has to walk in terms of doing that. You mentioned Brennan Presley. In listening to Gundy talk about BYU's defensive schemes, it sounds like there's a lot of similarities with them and what Houston did. And it makes me wonder if it could be another game where Brennan becomes a really important piece of the offense just because they need to get those safeties looking elsewhere other than Gundy after the game on Saturday called it they were in a stop Ollie defense, and that's what they've been seeing for weeks now. But I think Brennan can find his way into some open spaces and do some things to help open things up for the run game. I think Brennan can be in for another big week this week.
Yeah, I think so too. Gundy also talked about, what else did he talk about? Alex Lloyd, I thought was fascinating conversation.
that was a great conversation.
Mainly because he had no idea who Alex Lloyd was.
Right.
And then we got to watch one of the Hutch twins call him out for always telling the Hutch twins that you're too young to know this. And he said, well, you're too young to know this to Gundy. And it was classic. But, Alex Lloyd, the 1949 receiver, or 45 receiver, sorry. 49.
You were right.
49,
right.
Sorry. 49 receiver, has the record for receptions in a game. Brennan Presley fell one reception short. Actually had it, but it was called back on a penalty, or negated by a penalty.
Negated by a penalty, yeah.
And so that was a fascinating conversation in itself.
It was. Adding some more context to this, because I tried to find out other details about that game. OSU lost bad that day. I can't even remember now who they lost to, but
was it Kansas?
Could have been.
It was Kansas.
I went into our archives and tried to read the story. couldn't get all the story. It was a little bit difficult. I got the box score, but it was really tiny print. But it looked to me like it said OSU completed 19 passes that day.
He caught 16.
And he caught 16 of them.
Wow.
Yes. Also, Lloyd with one L. I didn't know
Yeah,
that was a thing.
I misspelled it at first when I was writing that today. Then I realized, wait, that's not right.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, I really don't know that I've ever seen that. So,
Yeah, he's a Stigler guy.
is he really?
He is, but it's what I saw.
I was unaware of that as well.
And I
Learning all sorts of things
saw it
here.
on Twitter the other day, and I asked if Ed Godfrey knew him, our old friend Ed
Right.
Godfrey, and he never responded. So I don't. Maybe he didn't like the old joke. I don't.
Maybe
know.
not. Maybe he didn't appreciate you suggesting that he was in high school in the 40s. But
Yeah, the guy went and played in the NFL.
Mhm.
So
He did.
you
He
know that
absolutely
was that was fascinating. Another thing we got to talk about. Gundy was asked about this without a name being dropped. So last week, former OSU linebacker Mason Cobb went and, for whatever reason, talked trash about OSU in his own way of saying that there was no fight in the team last year. That's why he might have been why he left. Feels like there's a lot of fight in USC. Of course, then USC goes out and gets smacked again.
Yeah.
OSU fights back. That's a whole different just perception is different than reality there.
Right,
But
yeah.
Gundy was asked if this team has more fight in it than last year, and I think it does. First of all, but
Right.
Gundy gave really good answers about they went through a lot last year. They didn't respond well. But it feels like this team is more fun to coach. This team's come together more. I thought that was all fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I think my favorite of all the responses from OSU people on their side of this was Justin Wright.
Yeah.
Who basically said all the cancers are gone now.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, the whole view of Mason Cobb being a guy who left the team, then calling them quitters is
Yeah.
that's a bad look.
Yeah.
I don't think he was thinking things through all the way.
Yeah, I know.
And I think sometimes when guys get to talking, they forget that that like the internet exists. And
Yeah.
people are going to see what they say.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Gundy's comments were very fascinating. He talked about how fun this team is to coach, which was a big element in 2021, if you remember. And he pointed out that yes, winning makes things feel a lot better, but at the same time, he feels like this team, because of their attitudes, their togetherness, is a really fun would be a fun team to coach, even if they were sitting here at, I think he said 5-6 is what he said. So, really interesting dynamic with this team because of some of the personalities. They don't have a lot of just really crazy ones. You think back to some of the dudes on that 21 team. There were a lot of fun personalities.
I miss a lot of those personalities.
Oh, those
still.
guys were great.
Tanner McAllister and
Right.
Christian Holmes and
Colby
that
Harvell
group,
Peel.
Colby Harvell Peel and Trey Sterling and Jason Taylor, Brock Martin.
Oh, yeah.
I miss Brock Martin, man. I was
Right.
talking to him.
Brendan Evers was
Brendan Evers was
a
always
different
great.
dude.
Josh
He was fun.
Seals was always fun to talk to. Tay Martin was always fun. You just had like so many big personalities. You notice I didn't say Malcolm on that one.
No, you did not.
We love Malcolm
We
Rodriguez.
love Malcolm. Fantastic dude. A
But his
lot of fun
person-
to cover.
But he never had a personality until he went to Detroit.
Yes, he found
With
that
the media, at
on
least.
his way between Stillwater and Detroit. He
Somehow he found that
he
there.
dug
So
that out.
as much as I love Malcolm, there was not much there for
No.
us.
Every now and then we get to see it, but
Yes.
it's like a regular
Yeah.
thing.
If
up
the
there.
recorder was out, you didn't get to see it.
Oh no.
And so
Nope. But still, fun dude to cover.
There were just unique personalities all
Right.
around. I mean, you had Jim Knowles,
Right.
even being more unique. It was just But this team's fun too. I love the personalities
Yeah.
of this team. Colin Oliver,
Right.
friend of the podcast, Colin Oliver.
Exactly.
Kendall Daniels can be fun.
Right.
Brennan Presley's always
you
been
mentioned
fun.
Brennan.
So there's guys like that that are.
Yeah.
Ollie
Yeah.
Gordon, of course, is the blast.
He is.
So-
He's the most like some of the 2021 guys that I would say. Bowman's very unique.
Yeah, Bowman's a blast.
A lot of fun. So they do have the personalities. It's just a different vibe.
Yeah.
When we're talking to guys. So, gonna miss some of these seniors. That's the one difficult thing about the transfer portal when you have these guys come in. It's their last year. you're really just starting to get to know them, or you only get to interview them a few times. A guy like Justin Wright obviously has a chance to come back, but I think we've interviewed him like twice all year. But I mean, he's injured, so that's part of it. But but he seems like a really fun guy that we haven't really got to know.
Yeah.
So. A senior day will be interesting with so many guys that have the possibility of coming back. And, even Brennan, I think, if I had to guess, I would say he's back.
I think so.
All the offensive linemen, basically. Most of the receivers that are seniors are eligible, other than Leon Johnson. So, and like I said, Alan Bowman could decide to apply for a 7th year and give that a shot, and you could have almost the entire offense back next year. Could be very interesting.
Be crazy.
That would be. That'd be wild. Anything else from Gundy or from Houston? What was it? What was the how was the TV broadcast?
It was good.
It was an odd one at times for UCF, but
it was good. It was fine. I didn't notice a ton.
It was Brock Osweiler, right?
Yeah.
I really like him.
He was good. There was a lot of good analysts and
Yeah.
analysis and things like that.
Yeah,
I think
I listened to the radio broadcast during the game, so I don't ever hear the TV guys. But I've been a fan of Osweiler for a while, so that was good. Andre Ware is the analyst this week. I thought that was very interesting. He can be really fun or really annoying. I've found. So we'll see how that goes. But again, I won't be listening, so it doesn't really matter to me. All right. Anything else though before we move on down the road here?
No, I think that about covers it. I have more takeaways up on the website at oklahoman.com.
That's right. That is exactly right. I've got all my usual Monday stuff with the rewind and the red shirt tracker. Cameron Hurd got in for a couple of snaps.
Crazy.
10 guys that have the true freshmen who have played but not past the 4-game mark at this point. A few of them are at 4 games, so you're not going to see them again. But, very interesting to see how they've handled the red shirts, because there's some veteran guys, or by veteran I mean transfers that came in that have experience that that are being redshirted. Kenneth Harris, it appears anyways, that's the situation with him. Lardarius Webb, both at the 4-game mark right now. So interesting to see how they're using that with some older guys who are coming in. All right, is it time for the Stone Cloud 6-pack?
I think it is.
I think it is too.
I think it is. Here we go.
Very good. So I switched it up last week. We went to true false.
We did, yes.
I'm going to do that again this week.
I like true false. It's easy
because it is. It's but I did change things up there, similar to last week, but a little bit different at the same time. Last week, of course, my first question was, would Ollie Gordon get back over 100 yards? And he did, well over.
I think we nailed that, right?
Yes, we did. So I'm up in the number this year. True or false, Ollie Gordon will rush for 150 or more yards against BYU.
True.
150. You're going true on this one.
Going true.
I mean, usually if he gets to 100, he goes over 150.
Yeah,
as well,
it's
a safe
true.
bet.
It's the Ollie Gordon show, man. It's not stopping. It's not slowing down.
I'm going false. I think that they're going to rotate guys in a little bit more.
Okay.
And I think that they'll be a little bit more careful with how they use him. So I think he ends up under the 150
I could see that.
mark.
Especially if they start getting up big a little bit. They get extended lead, a couple touchdowns.
Right.
Maybe they start rotating some guys in just to preserve them, because they know that if Texas has won on Friday and they get up, like, you could start the idea of you got to have him healthy for the Big 12 title game.
You're right.
Because 2 years ago, Jalen Warren wasn't, and it was a problem.
Yes.
So
you mentioned getting up big. And this is not part of the Stone Cloud 6-pack. This is just a little detour. 16-point spread. 16-point favorites for the Cowboys. There have been multiple games this year when I've kind of been a little bit mind blown by the spread, and this is right there with them.
Yeah, that surprised me yesterday when I saw the spread. I'm not a betting man, but I think I might take the under on that.
Yeah.
I might take BYU.
Go ahead and take BYU.
Yeah.
Listen, anybody that follows along with what I do on the Sports Animal knows that I'm horrible at it. I live in this dystopia in terms of my ability to pick games.
That reminds me, you predicted the Jaden Bray fade touchdown the other day.
I did. That was one of the easiest calls I've ever made. And now, I realize probably people watching at home, I have a few second advantage But I'm seeing the formation before anybody
Yeah,
else.
see, I had no idea, and I was like, you called it, and I was like, how did you do that? Like,
it was actually really easy.
Yeah.
And if you could see it, particularly with it being on that end of the field, which is we were down on that end in our seats in the press box. They come out and the ball's on the hash farthest away from me. Bray is spread out way wide, on the near side of the field toward me. And he's in single coverage. You can tell he has no safety help. And I was like, if Bowman sees that, they've got to be going to him. So I just typed it in really quick and got it off right before the snap. And then there it goes. And
I see.
It was
okay.
It was one of my.
I told you on
calls.
Twitter it still was not as impressive as my Arizona State score prediction.
Not even close.
But now I really agree that it's definitely not as impressive as my Arizona State score prediction.
It was a really easy call. Your Arizona State score prediction, I still don't. I feel like there was some sort of misdirection that was done, and like you went back and edited old emails that you had sent. I don't.
Believe me, I am no computer person to be able to do that.
That I will look at. That you've got a good alibi right there. Is what I'm going to say. But 15. Who the hell predicts somebody sort of score 15? I don't know.
All I know is I was right. Anyways, we got to go back to the Stone Cloud six-pack. Sorry, we diverted, but I meant to bring that up earlier. I was really impressed at the time.
I do appreciate it.
I only thought about it because you talked about your picks, and I remember I saw the producer calling you out for being terrible at it.
Yeah, T-Bag was giving me trouble about that. But I got my pick this week as well. Right. I meant to send him a screenshot, but I forgot. All right, number 2 in the Stone Cloud six-pack, true or false, the OSU defense will go up fewer than 30 points to BYU.
True.
You're going true.
I'm going true.
Under 30.
I was not that impressed with BYU overall offensively. Against OU. Even against, they had some moments. I think that option. Gunny talked about they ran a lot of triple option. I didn't think they ran that much until last week.
Yeah.
But they really threw OU off, and I think OU should be better prepared for it.
Yeah. I think the fact that the strength of their attack is running works out for OSU. You look at how reliable some of the guys have been tackling. Even the safeties coming up and making plays.
Trey Rucker might have a field day.
He might. He could have some crazy tackle numbers. That plays right into his wheelhouse, I think. And so yeah, I am also going true on that in terms of under 30. I think this defense, they're going to give up points. They always do. There's going to be some big plays, probably early, where they get fooled on some stuff. But I think they clamp down, keep them under 30 this week. So, all right. With that, this is a repeat question.
Ooh,
and we've already addressed this a little bit. So this will be a pretty quick one. True or false? You understand the Big 12 tiebreakers?
Still false. I still don't know.
Nope.
I still don't know. I don't know. We need to ask Ryan Aber. We need to buzz him in. He's the one who did the scenarios for us for the Oklahoman, and ask him true or false on that if he still understands.
Exactly. Because I'm saying this having read them and having tried to apply some of them. I think he's having to make some interpretations that we don't know for sure are exactly how the Big 12 is going to interpret things. Probably right, but we don't know for sure because there's no wording that specifies it, and obviously the Big 12 in their press release on Sunday night didn't bother to clarify any of that. So they've got to get like some lawyers and some journalists involved and work together in the off season and make this make sense for 2024. All right. Anyway, enough picking on the Big 12. All right. So that brings us to the back half of the Stone Cloud six-pack.
Right. This is the fun part.
It is, and being that it is Senior Day, it's fall, it's Thanksgiving week. Lots of things that play into this. We are drafting things that are orange.
Okay. All right.
So
I'm not prepared for this, so here we go.
Yeah, exactly. This could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So now, do you want? I always offer you the first pick.
I'll go first pick. That's
all
fine.
right. There you go. Fire away. What you got?
Things that are orange.
Things that are orange.
Orange juice.
Orange juice. Nothing wrong with that.
Taking orange juice.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
I love orange juice.
Very strong.
I'm not a milk person. I would take an orange juice any day.
Right there with you.
And no pulp.
I don't mind pulp. I don't mind pulp.
I don't really want pulp.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's freshly squeezed, great. But other than that,
That's fine.
But yeah, I love some orange juice.
Okay.
And you can use it for cooking and doing different things with it. Pretty versatile.
Yeah.
You've got the vitamin C factor with it.
Right.
It's just, it's great.
It is fantastic. Excellent first pick. I'm going to need a ruling, however, before I make my first pick. This glass here of mine, is that orange?
The beer?
The beer, yeah.
It could be, yeah.
Could be.
It's kind of golden.
Okay, all right.
It's golden.
I'll leave it. That was Neon Sunshine was going to be my first pick,
Yeah,
but I'll back off. I've got more on the list. I'm gonna go, in that case, I'm gonna go with orange Jello.
That's a good one.
Big part of my youth. I don't know why. My grandma loved making orange Jello with peaches. I know it sounds weird, but it was delicious. It was my favorite thing. And thinking of Thanksgiving was just one of the times that she would make it for us. She would make it all year round, but definitely Thanksgiving is a central one. Really delicious.
Okay.
Big fan of all Jellos, but that one in particular.
I like it.
All right. With
Trying
that,
to think of other things that are orange.
Number 2 pick for you.
We are unbiased here on the list. I feel like neither one of us are going to pick OSU, but that's an option for someone out there who wants to draft with us. I know people like to send their picks to us. I'm going to leave that one on the board, though. That's
fair. That's fair.
I'm going to leave that one out there. Orange, man, that's tough. There's some options. I was trying to think. How about like a basketball?
That's a strong one. It was on my list.
Yeah, I think a basketball.
There you go.
I'm trying to think of something baseball related. All I can think of gloves really aren't orange.
No, not really.
So going with basketball because basketball is just a great sport. It's a great ball. I mean, I guess
right. Yeah.
And they're getting orange for the NCAA tournament more and more. And,
right.
And I've thought about great memories of childhood, growing up playing basketball in my driveway and places like that and stuff. So basketball.
Very solid. Very solid. Oh man, I got things on the list here.
I was also trying to pick just food items or drinks.
Right, sure, yeah. There's a food item I'm going to leave out here. It might be something you come up with. I'm going to go a different direction here. Obviously, orange Jello was something from my childhood. I'm going even deeper into my childhood with this one. My favorite character from Little Kid TV was Ernie, Bert and Ernie.
Oh.
So I'm taking Ernie.
There you go.
My second pick.
That's a good one.
I love Sesame Street, obviously. Most of us did as kids, but Ernie was by far my favorite. He was pre-Elmo. Elmo wasn't involved yet. Bert and Ernie were fabulously entertaining. Loved everything about them, and Ernie was by far my favorite. So I'm going with Ernie as my that was my number 2 pick, right? Yeah. Because you still got to make your third pick. Third and final here on the draft of things that are orange.
Trying to picture different things. That's the tricky part. It's picturing the different things.
Yes, it is.
It's like, I'm going to go with. And can a song title be a thing?
I got no problem with that.
All right, I'm going with Something in the Orange by Zach Bryan.
Okay.
Love that song.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. It's just a great song. It's been played at OSU games lately.
It has, yeah.
And so I'm going with that.
Yeah. I'm not gonna
Oklahoma's
pick
own
it.
Zach Bryan.
Actually, no. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. I might still pick the food item then that I thought you might go with. There was another one that I thought you might pull out because one of your children dressed up as him for Halloween.
Nemo.
I thought you might.
Yeah, that's
Nemo.
terrible. That's my bad.
Number 2 on my characters, orange characters from my youth. Tigger was high on my list as well. And so my last pick came down to the thing I'm going to pick, and orange soda. I love orange soda
orange
as well.
Soda's great.
Sun-kissed. But I'm going to go with my final pick. And feel free to flag me on this, and I'll back off and take orange soda. Buffalo wings.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I thought about that.
I thought
it doesn't
pull
register
that.
as orange in my head, so you brought it up.
You don't really think about
That's
it as
a good
orange.
one. Man, I love buffalo wings.
Yeah.
Made something the other night. It was good.
Right.
I love buffalo wings.
Oh, absolutely.
I almost picked orange Gatorade Zero.
Well, that's solid.
I love an orange Gatorade Zero.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of regular orange orange Gatorade.
I like the Zero more than any other Gatorades.
Yeah.
Zeros I think better, but the orange one is especially good.
Yes, big time.
So I thought about carrots. I like carrots.
Yeah, I like
Pretty versatile.
They are. I like carrots. I don't know if I like them enough to draft them.
Yeah, exactly.
They're more of an undrafted free agent in my book.
Yeah. Cheese. I should have thought of cheese.
Ooh, I don't know that I would have allowed that one.
Like
that
a Colby Jack?
I don't know. That's close. That's close. I mean, you look at my neon sunshine here. That's pretty close to like a Colby Jack or a sharp cheddar there.
Okay.
I would have had to think about that one longer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, most likely, I think we will be back here next
I think
Monday.
We'll be back next week.
And we'll be back at some point during bowl season, obviously. But I think there's a really good chance we're back here talking about a Big 12 championship a week from now. We'll see how that goes. But if you're on YouTube, jump in, give us your score predictions for OSU, BYU. There's a lot of initials teams that are in this league now.
BYU.
BYU. You already got TCU. I mean, people around here still use OSU, even though other places that means other schools. But so it's getting to be an initial type of league. So, but yeah, throw your score predictions in there. You can win a beer that we'll drink for you on the next podcast. Other than that, thank you for joining us, and we will talk to you next time on the Cowboy Talk.